What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 100 of the Survival Create series. Now, you may be wondering where I am, and honestly, I am pretty far away from my base. We are back where we first started this series, way up here, all the way away from our base, right here. So we're a good distance away, pretty good distance away. Now, we're not going to be building or practically doing any like adventure in this world, or not in this world, in this episode. We're going to be going over every single thing that we have done from the start to where we are now. So, on episode 1, we started here, right in this fun little area. Now, this is where we first spawned, right in this general area. We have practically nothing. We had nowhere to go. We had no idea on what to do. We had nothing that we were using for a plan. Now, when we first got in, so side note, we actually didn't start over here. We started over on this side. Now, I think we were mainly down here. We ran all the way up. Um, I think we ran up this way. That fell off my tree. We ran over here and then we seen this village. So we decided to head over here to see what was in it. So the first house that we immediately ran to was this one. Now, obviously, we didn't build in here. We didn't do anything other than get the chest. Now, when we got the chest, there was only bread and leather armor in here. Now there was 2 chest plates, a helmet, and about 4 or 5 pieces of bread that were scattered around. Now we did have to get a bed, so we went to this one. I actually think I went to this one first, and then we went to this building. So we had to get our bed. We went there, and then we got all of the items that were in this chest, and we basically raided this little house immensely. So yeah, after we raided this house, there was a good pile of hay bales right here. We raided those. We then raided everything else that was practically in this area. Just whatever we needed, all like the hay bales, everything like that, we took. We then wandered over here to this fun little treasure, or this little ship that had treasure. Hey, look, the snake is still here. If you remember from first episode, the snake was actually sitting right on this block. So he is still here. Glad to know he is still living. That's creepy. Okay. Yeah, we went over here. We got this. We then raided this chest. Now, this chest had a whole bunch of materials and minerals. It had so much iron nuggets, had a few emeralds, and then I think it had like 1 diamond in it. So we raided this, and then I believe we went on our way down here. Yes. Now, when we went in here, there was only one buried treasure map. Obviously, we had to get the buried treasure because, well, we just started and we had nothing to do. Now, there was another chest in here. This one was lucky enough to have 3. This one had a whole bunch of coal, bunch of rope, everything like that. Obviously, we didn't take, the leather chest plate just because it had Curse of Vanishing on it, and that was practically useless. So that was not going to help us in any way. So we didn't take that. So after we raided this fun little destroyed abandoned shipwreck, we went across this little sand patch, and then we went over to here. As we were trying to find the buried treasure, walked in on this. Now, there's 2 little blocks here, so I will gladly take these now, because, well, when I first started, I couldn't. So, I will gladly take those now. We raided this chest. There was a few materials in here, nothing crazy, nothing good. Probably a golden apple or 2 if I can remember that. Probably not. But we were still trying to find that buried treasure. Hello, snake. Once we raided this, we continued our search for our buried treasure. Now, we had the map, and then that led us all the way over here in this area. Way past this ocean. Obviously, we didn't have jetpack like we have now, so we couldn't go very fast. And as we were crossing this, it turned to night. Now, obviously, we didn't have anything to help us fight mobs or anything like that, so the second we landed, we immediately went to sleep because I decided I did not want to deal with monsters and I did not want to die as much as I thought I would. I've died more with armor than I did with, well, nothing. So as we went down here, we destroyed all of this area to try and find this one little chest because I completely forgot about the little trick that helps you find the buried treasure. Give me that. We then found the treasure after, well, destroying this with our hands and suffering for a bit, and we took whatever was in here. Now, when we opened this chest, there was quite a few good things in here. There was about 5 or 6 pieces of iron, if I could remember this correctly. My brain doesn't function that well, alright? Not very well. There was a good chunk of iron in here. There was a few things of gold, maybe a few diamonds, and probably a few fish, just because it's a buried treasure. There's normally fish in buried treasure. So there was a few things in here that we took. Once we gathered all that, and then we took everything and suffered and wasted time trying to destroy all of this little emptiness, sadly, that took forever, and I was not planning on that. Now, once we raided this, we decided to run way over here and head all the way up to this village. Now, I don't know why we decided to go to this. I don't know why we decided to go up and around in the first place. We could have just went straight down. I had no idea where I was going, but for some reason, I decided to go up and around. hello, giraffe. So that's what we did. We went up and around. Obviously, we didn't have any materials or our jetpacks or anything like that. So we had to go through the water very slowly, very desperately. And there is actually something there. We'll have to come back to this next episode. I will mark that on my map because that is very tempting. I'm supposed to be, you know, going around finding everything we did. I did not. We will save that. We will mark that as temple. And we will hide it, of course, so it's not interfering with the video. I will definitely come back to that because I may have something that I want. But like I said a few minutes ago, we wandered all the way to, I believe it was this village. So yes, I was correct. We did decide to come to this village and raid it. Now, I didn't take any of the hay bales or anything. We just raided the houses, found a few things here and there, I think, and then we went on our way to continue back to life, or continue down to where we can hopefully make life. Now, something I'm going to do, just because I'm here and I might as well, I'm going to take these hay bales just because I want them, and also food. So, I will take every single one that's here, and then we will continue our journey. All right. Once I finish, well, I took the hay bales, obviously. I want food, duh. So yeah, once we finished raiding this little village, we then zoomed in over this way. This was where the sun was setting. We then did a little zoom transition thingy. I can't remember how I did it, but I think we did. We zoomed in over towards the sun as it was setting, and then we teleported, or the clip teleported. We didn't actually teleport because, well, I don't have game mode, so the clip teleported us all the way down here. And yes, we did run a pretty long distance to just get to here. Now, really on this trip, we didn't really find anything or get anything that was helpful. So I think that's why I cut it. So yeah, after we zoomed in, we ran a good 20, 30 minutes, maybe 35 if I remember, however long this took. And we ran all the way down to here. We were right entering this dark oak area as, we found a spot. Now, we could have done, no, I think it was actually right over here. So that's what we did. We wandered all the way down. I'm going the wrong way. I'm an idiot. We just booked it. We hunted. We found nothing. Now, once we finished the transition all the way from over here from the old village that we were at, that's just what that transition put us all the way over here as we were entering this dark oak biome. We decided to continue going forward a little bit, and we were going to plan on living in here, which we did end up doing for a good few episodes. Now, during those episodes, we decided we were going to live right in this opening. So we put our bag down, we put everything that we had, our chest, our furnace, our crafting table, we put everything down, I believe right over here on this side. We then cleared out a good empty space, and no, this is not natural, this is not how it was. We did clear out some dark oak. Once we cleared all this out, we made our house. But before we made our house, we needed, or what we thought we needed, was a good area to build our quarry, our mining area. Instead of going to a mine and or a cave and something like that, instead of doing that, we decided that we were just going to build our quarry right here. Now, yes, I did fill it in because, well, why wouldn't I? This is where our quarry initially was, right there. After, I think, an episode, we decided to say, screw that, we're not going to build it. We then covered it up, and then we built our house right on top. So yeah, once we built our house, we moved everything that was over here, we moved it all inside. Obviously, we don't have anything inside anymore because, well, we took it all, but we did leave the house. So yeah, pretty much all of episode 2, we built the house, we moved everything in. We pretty much just went exploring and then mining. That's pretty much all we did. We didn't really build anything. We just decided to hunt for more things. Did chickens, got melons, a whole bunch of other stuff. And as you can tell, I definitely lived here because there's 3 creeper explosions. That lets you know I definitely was here. On episode 3, we decided to move. Now, we took everything out. We threw everything in our backpacks. Obviously, we only had one backpack at the time because we did not have enough of everything that we needed. So once we did, we got backpack and everything like that. We moved everything from our chest into our backpack. Obviously, we had to throw out some things just because we didn't have enough space. I did keep the furnace. I kept the crafting table and the bed, obviously, because I needed those. Once we started moving, we then ended up going a little bit past here. Now, we were actually right in this area. So our little pathway, we walked out all the way from over here. We climbed up this little area. We then, went on our fun little adventure across the jungle because that's what we were in. We were in the jungle. So we had a very treacherous adventure trying to get through. We found ruin portals. We found pretty much everything that will help us. Found a little lava pool that had, some trees burning. I think I tried to stop one. I can't remember if I did or didn't. I may have just let it burn, nature. Now, right over here is where we ended up. We cut from over there and ended up over here where we decided to build or saw about building a base here, if not down here, which is where we ended up building. So we continued on this little edge over here to try and figure out if we had a good idea or a good little spot that we can do. Now, as we were running, we continued and we found this little cherry blossom area. Now, once we were over here, we saw this little area down here or something over here was another ruin portal. It, in fact, was not. So once we were over here, we started opening our map to try and figure out where good areas were. Now, we didn't see this area over there where we are now. All we seen are, we're like somewhere over here by then. We seen the edge of a village. That is all we seen. We just seen the little edge of the village. Nothing crazy. It was just a simple village. We decided, instead of going straight to the village, we continued exploring this way. So once we went over this way, as it was turning nighttime, we obviously went to sleep because we didn't want to deal with monsters. Now, while we were over here, we decided, or once we looked at our map, we decided that we could build a base either like over here or on this hill or somewhere over here. That is what we initially thought we were going to do. We were going to do a hill base. That's pretty much it. We didn't have any ideas on building these areas over here. We were going to keep it simple, nothing crazy. We weren't going to do practically anything with multi areas. We were going to try and keep everything all in one. But as we were over there, probably right next to that tree, actually, I think we were right on one of those few blocks. Yeah, we were actually right on that corner block right there, right next to that tree. We decided to keep running this way. That's where we found the other side of the cherry blossom, which were right over here. And as we were over here, we were right on probably about this edge over here because we found the iron, we found the coal, everything in here, which obviously we did not take. The iron is still there. I ended up never coming back for this. We thought about putting this as our mining city, just this little area. We then continued over to find, well, as we now know, is the mining area. We decided that we were just going to build something here. As we were sitting right on this cliff, if not, we were actually right up here or somewhere over here. We were one of these. This area was completely different. Now we had that water. We had the water in the way. We had a whole bunch of different issues that we had to fix. But this is exactly where we decided to put our mining city. Everything. Now, as we were gonna have this our mining area, we were gonna have multiple different areas, as what we said. We were gonna have a forging area. Everything from the mineral area will go straight to the forging, be made into different stuff like that. Obviously, we're not doing that. We're just going to keep it minerals and stuff like that. So we were still trying to find a good little forging area, which we thought up here was going to be a good idea. And then obviously back then we were going to use this area as our lumber, which probably what we're going to do still, use this, if not this. Now we could obviously go down here, which is what we've been planning on, but we were planning on doing our lumber up here, our mining here, which is what we're doing now. And then we still needed a few other areas. But once we left this area, we ended up being smacked by a zombie a few times. We were very surprised by that because I did not pay attention in any way, shape, or form. So I was not ready to fight a zombie. We then walked over here, obviously on this hill, to see this village. We didn't raid the village at that first point, and I don't even think we really seen that area up there. So we decided to keep running over here, continue to see more of little nature's fun spots, I guess. We then decided, instead of going here, we decided to just do a big up and around area. We did a whole big loop, searching for new things. So we didn't really find that much. We just decided to go around to fill in this area to see if we have anything. As we done a little bit of searching, we wandered around. We did end up going to this village, I believe raiding it. Now, back then, we had the maps where this was still shown. This was still active. Everything was being seen. You could see this whole area. But you couldn't see anything up here yet. We didn't fully go over this way. So I can't remember if we had the idea to build here on episode 3 or if we waited a little bit longer. So once we did that though, we did raid this village. Obviously not at that exact point. We waited and wandered around till we got a little bit more. But we did end up raiding this area. We then ended up going out a little bit this way. Once we did raid everything, we ran out this way to explore a little bit more of the lands. So as we were over here and probably right about this area, we found another village loaded on the map, which is what we seen. I think we decided to go up to this one to try and raid it, or we just decided to get a lookout. I can't fully remember that, but we did end up going right to the top of this mountain. Now, we did see the village. I think we started walking over towards that, if I remember. And then, yeah, as we were going down, we obviously needed to clear more land or see more land so we can see what we have around us. We decided to go around over here. We jumped over to this side, obviously had us swim through the water, which is now our boat pathway, and we found more cherry blossoms. Now, at that point, we didn't fully have this area set. We still had so much emptiness here, and pretty much this entire site was still empty. We had no idea what was up here or anything that was good up here. Now, something I think that is a little bit crazy, we ran up this way. Now, I don't know why I didn't think of it back then or when we first started, but as we were running up this way, and yes, it's nighttime now, I will swap it to day in a few seconds. All right, it's been a few seconds. Now, again, we were going up this way. We found, where is it? We found this. Now, on episode 3 is when we raided this. All right, we didn't raid this later or something like that. We raided this on exactly episode 3. There was an enchantment book in here with knockback right in this slot. We then walked out, and then we didn't bother going to this area. We just continued straight across. Now, obviously, back then, it's so much like here, so that's not good. That's not good. Why is he here? I will definitely take you, but that's not. We'll try and skip that. Yeah, whoopsie. Yeah, as we were going, we completely avoided this area. Obviously, there was trees and a whole bunch of other things here, mountains, stuff like that. We decided to completely avoid this area. We just continued going straight across. Now, we actually went right up here over towards our, what we thought was going to be our farming area, or not our farming area, our fishing area. We completely skipped it. We just went straight over here thinking that we could build over here. Now, obviously, we could. There's definitely plenty of flat land that we could do, but we decided not to. Now, as we were up here, we opened our map. Let me try and land without dying. We opened our map and started planning out where we could build all of our bases. Now, back then, we were going to do 7 bases. Completely different things. I have no idea why. Apparently, more bases to me was better. No clue. Obviously, we're not doing that now. We're only going to do 5. But again, back then, for some reason, I decided 8 bases. We're going to go here, here, up here, down here, and then probably like 2 or 3 down here. I don't know why I decided that. Makes no sense. Now, on episode 4, we continued our housing search of where we're going to build a house. Now, obviously, we knew we were going to do it in this area. We still had the idea that we were going to do 8 different bases for some reason also. But we decided to walk back this way, where we ended up finding that little house that was destroyed and, had the rotten wood, everything like that. It was right in the middle of this, somewhere in here. So it was actually somewhere right in here where we had the rotten house. So once we did that, we continued straight forward a little bit through, all the forest that was here. Obviously, it's gone now, but we were going right up to this hill. And yes, this hill is practically still natural. We didn't really change anything to this other than adding walls to it. So, and obviously flattening off the edges. So this hill is still pretty natural. We haven't changed the top other than the sides. That's it. Obviously, trees were still around here. We didn't have the house or anything, but we ended up putting our chests and our bed, everything like that, about right here, right in this area, right next to this bottom door. This is where we put all of our stuff. Now, we didn't have a plan to build all of this, not yet. We just had the plan of finding all spots for our bases and then working on the bases one by one. Now, once we were up here, we had to try and find some caves so we can get all the materials. We obviously needed iron because iron is a big part of Create. We also needed a whole bunch of andesite because that's also a big part of Create. Now, we did go through some caves. I can't remember what caves exactly that we went through. I think we went over here and maybe a few that were like down here or something. But we went through those. We got pretty much all the materials that we needed. Obviously not enough because, well, we didn't plan that far ahead. No, once we were over here trying to get all the mining stuff, we came back up, put everything back in our chest or our furnace and smelted everything, I think. Again, I think. We then wandered over here to what is now our farming island or our farming village, whatever it is. Now, if you remember, there is a giant hole under these houses. It's a giant cave system. So we decided to mine all in there, get everything that we needed, come back up, and then we went right back to our base because, why wouldn't we? Now, we obviously stayed in that cave for quite a while, and if you remember on episode 4, we got very close to dying. Now, we only had 2 hearts after we were being brutally beaten by some skeletons and zombies, and a few creepers here and there. But we did live, we didn't die in there. We were able to come back, bring everything to our chest and our furnace, and smelt everything that we needed. Now, I can't remember if I actually smelted everything. I may have just threw it in the chest and completely avoided it. But we did get some things to put and have. We then, to help our tree destroying adventures, we made a hand crank and one of the saws. Now, with the materials that we got, it was pretty easy because we had the stuff for it, except we didn't fully have everything that we needed. Because obviously, if you don't know, a saw requires pressed iron. We did have a press because, well, we made one just because I knew that we needed one. So we did make a press. And then we made the saw. And that helped us go through everything. Now, on episode 4, I was going to initially remove every single tree that was practically in this area. Just every single tree here. Obviously, we're not going to do that. Or we didn't do that. As you can tell, we kept it how it is. So once we got all the saws and everything, we decided to go on a tree destroying adventure and practically destroy every single tree that was in this good chunk of area. Now, we didn't plan on doing anything down there. We just cleared all the trees that were up in this area as much as we could. Now, after destroying all those trees, that is where we ended episode 4. Now, the start of episode 5, we decided that we needed to make some more armor, better, glorious armor. So we used our iron for the armor, and we practically had no more iron left. So we had to go and get some more iron. Obviously, I can't remember if I did that or not, but I do know that we went up to this village. We ended up raiding this village for everything that it had, which really wasn't that much because, well, I think all I took was the blast furnace because I don't think these ones had a chest or anything. So we just took the blast furnace. After we raided this, we obviously had practically no more iron, so we had to go and get more iron. We went to the caves, got more iron, hopefully, and then I believe at some point we decided that we needed to have a mine. Now, obviously, everything was normal up here. We kept our mine, and we had that go just straight down. And then this is where we start our mining. Now, we didn't have the drills or anything like that. We weren't that fancy. So we mainly just use hand mining. Now we did go practically all the way down just because that's what we needed. So we went pretty far down, mined some of this by hand, and then we found some iron, some diamonds here and there. But once we got the drill, that is where, well, all those lines decided to come in. Now, a few episodes later, we decided that we needed a little bit more space. So we decided that we were going to put a house. Now, this is a custom built house. This house is built by me. As you can tell, it looks horrible. I don't care for it. The edges makes it look pretty weird. So, as you can tell, it is built by me. Edges look horrible. But we did need some extra space for, our storage, everything like that. I will take that. Now, we did put the bed in. We had the stairs. We put all of our furnaces because at that point we had a lot of furnaces. I still have zinc in here. Really? You're telling me I had zinc this entire time and I just never knew about it? All right, cool. So yeah, that's what we did. We put everything in the house that we needed, and then, well, we didn't really do anything with the upstairs. Obviously, we used our schematic cannon once we made that to build the house, because, well, why not? Once we started working on this area, we needed a storage area. Obviously, this was built way later on in the episode, or not in that episode. They were built later on in, this series. We built all of this, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. We're going to let that, build up to whatever it needs. So yeah, episode 5 was mining day. We had to go mining. Basically, any cave, any mine shaft that we made, anything like that, we did it. We had to get material. On episode 6, we decided that we need a house. Now, we didn't have this house. No, we built a completely separate house, one that looked even worse than this one, and it was worse. I'm now pretty much the entire episode or the entire video for episode 6 was dedicated to building the house. Now, it wasn't a good house, let's be honest. It wasn't. If you've seen episode 6, it wasn't good. It was a starter house, but not good. It was a simple little L. Now, was that L even? No. Nowhere close it was. It was nowhere close even. So, at that point, we kept the house for a little bit just because, well, we needed a house. We had to live somewhere just so we weren't being beat by monsters. Our bed and our chest were still outside because we didn't move everything in it at that point. So yeah, the house wasn't good. Everything was still outside except for the bed, maybe a few furnaces, and possibly a chest. But that's pretty much all we did in episode 6. Now episode 7 is where we made our first drilling machine. So that is what we did. We built our drilling machine right up top. We didn't go build it anywhere else. We built it right up here on the surface. Now, was that pretty easy to make? No. Did I have the materials for it? No, which is why it was pretty difficult to make. So, to get the materials, we had to go out. We had to We had to hunt, we had to mine, we had to basically try and find all the stuff that we could get to make this drilling machine. Now, once we did make the drilling machine, we didn't use it right away. I practically had no plan for it. We just decided to make it. Now, another thing we did was build this end portal. End portal? What? Nether portal. I'm crazy. Okay. We built another portal. This was also the first episode that we went to the Nether. Now, did we go for anything useful? No. Maybe a little bit of netherite, maybe some, trading with the piglins or, bashing or something like that. Nope. We came in for glowstone. That was actually sitting right about here. That is all that we came in for. Now, we came in for the glowstone, but might as well we came in for the quartz, but also for a little bit of the good gold. Now, obviously, we need gold to make some of the other materials. So that's what we did. We came in, got glowstone, got gold, got nether, or the nether quartz, whatever. And then we came back because we didn't have anything else to do in here. Now, that was the end of episode 7. We finished off with being in the nether. The start of episode 8, we started right up here as normal, with the little intro that we did. But our drilling machine wasn't finished. I actually thought it was finished in episode 7. It was not. We had no more materials. So, in episode 8 is where we finished the drilling machine. Now, obviously, it doesn't look how our drilling machine is now because, well, we have changed it quite a lot over the series. It looked way different. It was a lot simpler and, worked a little bit better. We didn't have the whole rotation issue. Now, to finish the drill, we obviously needed more materials. So, can you guess what we did? That's right. We went back to mining. Now, not only did we go back to mining, we went over here in this area, which led to a pretty big cave underneath. Now, once we went in that cave, we were immediately chased by a creeper, of course. We ended up killing the creeper and mining for a good little bit until we had a decent amount of materials. Now, we did end up finding a mob spawner down there, but we destroyed it because, well, we didn't need it. And honestly, I wasn't thinking that I could just pick up and move. So I completely forgot about that. That was great to know. So once we were done with mining, we decided to come back to our base, of course. So everything in our chests, except for, all the stuff that we were going to smelt. So all of our iron, stuff like that. But some things that we needed for the drilling machine. Now, I don't know if I needed this for the drilling machine or if I just wanted this item, but we had to go to the nether for a blaze burn. Yeah, which means we went in, we entered this fun little area of the nether. We then made our pathway all the way across, built a bridge, crossed back over through some tunnels, across all of this, all the warped forest, went over here, and then we found our little way into, well, I forgot what this place is called. But yeah, this place, I forgot what it was called, so my brain ain't functioning. But we did have to dig through a whole bunch of stuff. Now, was it simple? Not really. We almost fell in lava a few times. So we had to cross that. We were actually blocks over the lava. That was our only way of actually getting, to here. We had to cross through everything. So we ended up drilling or mining, whatever, all the way through all this to try and find a simple little blaze, which we ended up doing. We did find a little blaze spawn. Now, obviously, once we found that, we made our way back, obviously suffering and dealing, not knowing that I honestly could have picked up the spawner and moved it over here. Now, I thought, obviously, once we made the cages and everything for the blaze burners, I thought I had to wait for a blaze to actually spawn out and then we can pick them up. I didn't realize, after somebody told me in the comments, that we could just right click on the spawner and just get infinite amount of blazes. So I decided, a little bit later on in the series, I decided to take the blaze burner and we moved it in here, which is where we have now. Our blaze burner sits right inside here, and it works perfectly. But we came back to base, obviously back to reality, and we had blaze burners. Now, the reason I needed the blaze burner was to make a deployer. At that point, I didn't have brass. I didn't even know how brass was made. So once I found out how brass was made, we needed a blaze burner, which is why we went in, got the blaze, came back out. That's the reason why we needed it, because we needed the brass hand. Now, right at the end of episode 8, that is where we ended the video. Episode 8 was finished. But when we started episode 9 was this episode where my house caught on fire. Now you may be thinking, he probably put lava inside his house and, it started on fire, everything like that. Where, lightning strike and poof, fire. Nope, I set it on fire. You know why? Because we made a brand new house. Now, I made this house in the creative world, which is where we still go to every now and then to build whatever we can. But we did that. We made a brand new house, which is this one, which is the reason why we burnt down the other house. But before we burnt down the house, we got our drill to finally work. We actually tested it and it worked. That is when we decided to go down into our cave, all the way down here to yonder, wherever the heck we went. Bye bye. Okay. And we went all the way down here. Now, this is where we started our drill. Straight off of those stairs, and we continued just straight down. I don't know how far we went, probably about to here because we ran into lava. But that is where we found a good few sets of diamonds. That is where we first got our diamonds, was down here in this area. Now, obviously, if we use our drill down here, we will have diamonds so fast it would be insane. The amount of diamonds that I've found in this area is crazy. So if we bring a drill down here now, we're gonna have a lot of diamonds, which is kind of good. But we can always make a diamond farm, and I don't have to worry too much about that. But once we were finished mining, obviously that was a good chunk of the episode. That was maybe about 15-20 minutes of the episode was mining. We decided to come back up and, of course, do what we did best, set the house on fire. Now, before we set the house on fire, we did have to move everything out of the house back out to the main area. Otherwise, well, everything would have burned and I would not be happy because I would not be here where I am at now. So that is what we did. We got our schematic set because we had a schematic cannon. We had all the schematics that we needed. And that's what we did. We got our schematics, we got schematic cannon, we got gunpowder, everything like that. Then obviously, once we moved everything out, we had our schematic placed, we had the schematic cannon set, all the gunpowder that we needed. We set the house on fire. And I mean, literally, that thing caught so fast and it spread so fast, it was insane. But that was pretty well it. House went bye bye. And right at the end of episode 9, that is where we had our plans to keep expanding the base. We were going to build here no matter what. Build our house here, we were going to build here. That's what we did. Once the house was gone, we had just a pile of ash that we got rid of, moved everything like that. We obviously went down here and then planned on removing some trees down here, right in this area. But that was pretty much the end of episode 9. Now, episode 10 was where we had to gather all the materials for this new house. It requires so much wood, so much planks, stairs, slabs, everything like that. So, we obviously needed wood, and our way of getting wood was clearing out this entire area, which is practically what we did. Most of the wood here was used to build that, and it kind of helped. I'll be honest, it did. Obviously, we thought we were going to build all the way from up here all the way down here, farther out, like super far. Obviously, we kind of did, we're scattered out a good chunk. We have pathways going to every building, but we thought we were going to go like, very far, all the way down there, all the way over here, just scatter. Obviously, we didn't do that. We had to get wood, so that's what we did. We cleared most of these trees, got the right wood that we needed, and then we brought everything back up here. We then continued gathering all the materials that we needed, like the lanterns, torches, the leaves, all of the good stuff. And then, of course, once we finished gathering all the materials that we needed, all like the mining stuff like that, we obviously need stone bricks, so we needed cobblestone. So once we finished all the materials, we built this house. Now, is it the best? No, nowhere close. No, it is not a chance. It could definitely use some work. But we did build this, and this is our main house. Obviously, we don't come in here as much as we would like, but we do have it just in case. Now, at that point, we had a plan for a basement, but we honestly didn't think that we were going to build this. We thought we were just going to have the basement in the house, and this is where all the farms or like all the machine equipment would be. All the presses, everything like that would be down here. So we, at that point, we're going to move the stairs from over on this side to back here, just so we can have a little bit more staircase going down. Because we were going to make this pretty deep, just so the roof didn't catch on fire. Because at that point, we still had fire tick turned on, so everything could catch on fire. We turned that off now. That is gone. We don't have to worry about it. But we were going to dig down a few blocks and then, throw all the machines in here. Obviously, now that you see, we did not do that. We have this, and yes, it works. That's pretty much what we did for episode 10. Built the house, and then episode 10 was completely finished. Now, obviously, after episode 10, there has to be an episode 11, obviously, because we're on episode 100, which is crazy to think about. So, of course, at the start of episode 11 was more mining. Now, we had more mining and different, like, building ideas. Now, we decided, instead of, building a simple little chest room or something like that, we were going to build a storage room that can hold every item in the game. Now, obviously, that is a lot of items because we have 107 pages, and most of the stuff is something we can't get. So we were down maybe like 80, 90 different items. That's still a lot though. But we needed a storage room. Now, I didn't have the plan or the idea for this build yet. Not at all. We just needed a storage room. But pretty much all episode 11 was mining and trying to think of new ideas of something that we could do. Now, the start of episode 12, ooh, a rainbow, how fancy. The start of episode 12 is where we decided to start building the first city, which is this. This was our very first city, or this was the first city. This really isn't a city. This is just our main base and our main station, I guess. The farming was our first city, or first village, whatever we call it. I don't know. Now, we initially were going to use this as like a port. We'll have a boat that will come up, pick everything like that, and then we'll just come back to our base. Obviously, we didn't do that. Now, we were going to do a bridge also that connected from, somewhere on the outside to this. Obviously, we didn't do that. Now, we could do that, but I still got to add villagers into here, and I don't want them wandering over the bridge and dying, so we're not doing that. Now, we also did have the idea for a train, which is what we were doing. Obviously, we're not doing that anymore. We have the boat. Yeah, episode 12 was pretty much getting ideas for this. We had to clear this out, had to figure out how we can get all the materials from here over to here, or, however we were doing it. Now, towards the end of episode 12 is where we started to come over here and literally burn every single tree down. And I mean it. We burnt trees like crazy. We had a whole party burning trees. We did it through the day, we did it through the night. Trees were not existing on this island. Now you may be wondering, well, you have trees now. Yeah, you're right. After I destroyed every single one of them and I planted them myself. So yeah, once we worked on the trees, obviously we didn't get every single tree burnt down on episode 12. But at the start of episode 13, and yes, we are going through these episodes pretty quick. That's because I did these, every day, and not a lot of them have a lot of things to it. So they were pretty easy, which is why we're cutting through days pretty quick if you're kind of confused. Now, I'm also trying to cut out the parts that aren't important. I'm just trying to tell you what we did and how we did it and what we were thinking at that time. So, obviously, it's going to get cut pretty quick. Now, on episode 13, the start of episode 13, we started back over here. Now, we had a giant rectangle up on this area. We were going to use that as our initial storage area. We had a massive rectangle that we were just going to put all of the chests, all storage in there. We obviously didn't do that because it was a very bad idea. But we did obviously decide to make a brand new drilling machine, one that was bigger. It can, drill more without having to worry. Obviously, it had more storage, so it can hold more of the blocks that we needed. So that's what we did. We built a brand new, drilling device, and we actually built it right up here inside the rectangle. I don't know why I had the rectangle. I was losing it, but we built a brand new drill. It was, I think, 5 blocks high with saws, and I think maybe 10 blocks long. So it was a pretty big drill. It worked wonders, which now we can practically build a drill with as much as we want because we have 73 plus whatever is already on the drill. Now, once we got that drill working, we obviously had to test it. Hello there, sir. Nice to see you. What is your wonders? Horrible. Cool, I believe you. But yeah, once we got that drill working, we then brought it over to our farming island, where at that point, we decided that we were just going to destroy every single piece or every single block that was sitting in our way, which is what we literally did. And I mean literally, we destroyed all of it. Now, we poured our drill over on this side first. We initially started it over here, and then we had to go all the way down and had to go loop back. That's pretty much all we did. We had this whole area, we had about halfway done. So by the end of episode 13, there used to be, a hill here, a whole bunch of stuff, trees, everything. Once we cleared all that out, and yes, I mean, in the entirety of episode 13, we cleared out this entire area. It was flat, except for a little bit of stuff that was up top. We saved that for the next episode, because why not? Why wouldn't we? So, of course, at the end of episode 13, we still had a lot of things that we had to do. We had to get a whole bunch of different, the floaties gone. But we decided, I can't remember if I decided to do that during episode 13 or while it was offline. No, right after that for episode 14. All right, well, I just checked. Episode 14 still had the floaties. So we destroyed all of those in episode 14, but we also cleared out to where all the stone that was sitting up here, which was like all back here and stuff, we completely got rid of. there was so much stone that we instantly swapped to dirt. And that's something we did. We got our drill, we upgraded it, changed it up a little bit so it can, raise itself higher. And that was able to get a good majority of the floaty pieces. Now, obviously, we had to do manual work and, go in manually, but we decided to go a little bit extra. Now, since there was so much stone, we decided to upgrade our drill. And of course, we upgraded our drill. We had it to where it worked perfectly. This drill was maybe about 15, 20 blocks long, where it would drill all of the stone. And yes, if there was dirt on the way too, it would drill out the dirt. And then right behind it, we had it to where it was placing dirt. So any dirt that it would collect, it would go into the chest. But we also threw some extra dirt into, the chest also, or barrels, I think. So it had plenty. So it would destroy all the stone, and then right behind it, will place dirt, which worked perfectly. And then that was able to get a good majority of all that stone gone. Now, we did swap it to dirt, which ended up working, and as you can tell now, this place looks perfect. We even have a little pond with two catfishes in it. Obviously, we have Cactius the Second by Plaisante, and then we have Jerry by Tess. And of course, these were two picked names that, people commented. So we do that a lot. If you do want to leave, some ideas or something like that, or anything like that, then your idea may get put in the video if we do it. Just just like their name. And of course, your name will also be put into it also. Right at the end of 14, episode 14, not just 14, what? Right at the end of episode 14, we had to start, of course, episode 15. Now, episode 15, we had to start fun, I guess. That was the episode where I started the storage facility. So we're gonna go right back to our base. Because yes, that is where we started our storage facility. Not only did we start a storage facility there, that is also the day, about 2 months ago, is where we hit 100 subs, pure 100, which is crazy because I was sitting at 50 for the longest time of my life. So the amount of support on those have been absolutely crazy, and I really appreciate it. We're actually pretty close to 300, I think it is. We're at 292. So if you do want to sub, go for it. You don't have to if you don't want to. It is free though. You don't have to pay anything. But we're actually very close to 300. So if you do want to support the channel and help out and possibly, have your name at some point in the series, if you give ideas or something like that, you 100% can. All you gotta do is sub, you'll be fine. It jumps in. But that also helps the channel. So on episode 15, again, we hit 100, which is crazy. We also built the storage facility. Now, we had to gather the materials for the storage facility because we didn't have the materials for the storage facility. Now, before we built this, we obviously had a whole bunch of land or, dirt that was hanging off of this area. So what we had to do, we had to get our drill, of course, and we drilled all the way across. I mean, all the way. We went straight down and we drilled all the way out to here. Now, there was obviously still some hills, so of course we had to continue back and forth a good few times. And over here still had hills. It still had dirt. It went down because, if you've seen, this area is not fully even. There is a whole underground area to it. We just built over top of it. So we had to plan this out too, one way or another. Now, when we did it with this one, it was actually pretty easy. We didn't have to worry too much about it. Now, of course, episode 15 was just the start of the storage. We had to get the materials, had to try and figure out our layout and our design for it, which is what we did. So episode 16, that's right, episode 16 is where we finally finished getting all the materials for the storage facility. We finished everything, all the wood, stone bricks, lanterns, everything was finished. So yeah, episode 16 was just trying to gather everything that we could. And of course, at the end of episode 16, we got everything. We had to go mining, we had to get trees, we had to get a whole bunch of stuff. It was a pain. But in the end of episode 16, we got all the materials. Episode 17, of course, is where we finally built this. Now, do I like how it is? No. It was simple and easy. It was something I could just make and throw in, which is what we did. Do I want to upgrade this in the future? Possibly. I'm really thinking about it. So, of course, once we started episode 17, we obviously finished the storage facility. Now, the work up to having it finished and building it was a little bit of a pain. Now, up here we had everything. This is where our main base was. We have our schematic cannon sitting right about here. It was somewhere in this area. Where at that point, we were about to click go, and a creeper decided to walk out from the trees that used to be here and blow up the chest. Now, everything survived, thankfully, it did, but the chest kinda didn't. So I immediately had to get another chest, bring it over, or I think I had one in my inventory at that time. I can't remember. And try and throw every single material that was just thrown out back into there to hopefully try and save what we could. So once the storage facility was finished, we did a little walkthrough. Obviously you guys seen it a good chunk of times because we've been in here a good chunk. We have our train station. Obviously, we still gotta fix this. I do. I still gotta work on that at some point, but not right now. But you guys have already seen how it looks and how it will function. Now, once this was finished, we practically just kept exploring a little bit, trying to get more materials because at that point we were very low on materials. We're still kind of very low on materials, just not as much as we used to. Back then, it was crazy the amount of materials we were actually off. Episode 17, we finished this and then we continued basically just mining and hunting, doing whatever we could to try and keep afloat. Now, episode 18, we started off with showing off the storage facility. In case that was where people initially started jumping in. Now, episode 18 wasn't really anything building wise. It was practically just us trying to figure out how we wanted to build our bases. Bases, I mean, we're going to have multiple. So we have this one, that one. We're going to have one up here. We had to plan out how we wanted to do everything. We also just kept planning on different ideas that we could do for, this area. So once we did that, we obviously drilled a little bit more back here because we had some more hills and stuff like that. We completely got rid of them. Obviously, this wasn't here yet. This was actually fairly recent. I mean, not like yesterday, but it's been a good month, maybe a few weeks. But we had to drill out the little hill that used to be here so we can have some more space. We then thought of the ideas of what we could do for our area here. Now, at first, we were going to do little dome farms instead of our tube farm. We were just going to keep them dome, just little circles here and there, and then everything will be automatic. Like, yes, that would have worked, but honestly, with the tubes we have now, it makes it a lot better. I do like it like that. Now, on episode 19, that is where we started our boat dock. Now, we built this, or I think we thought about building this, and then we did build it. So yeah, episode 19 was where we initially started. We had a copy of this world where we just came over here and we planned the boat dock. We planned it out, made it look good and helpful. Now, we didn't really have an idea for the train track. We just knew it was going to go through and around. We didn't know exactly that. We were just going to do an invisible tunnel, which, if you don't know, yes, we have a tunnel right in here and it goes through and around. But we did need a lot more materials. Now, obviously, this requires a lot of wood. We needed a bunch of wood. So, good thing we had a little tree farm up at our base that we used. And, well, we used it. And I mean, we actually used it. And of course, using our schematic cannon because, it helped drastically. We put our create mod cannon, right over here. Maybe it was like right down here directly in front of it. But that built our brand new boat dock. Now, obviously, if you don't know, our boat dock is for our boat. It will come in, it will drop off items, and then it will go right back around, all the way back to our farming. This train here, where is this train? I think I'm losing it. Where is the train? Oh no, it is down here. Okay, it just wasn't loaded because we never came down here. Okay, yeah, we have a train that goes through, it goes all the way around. That was pretty much all we did on 19. We finished, we gathered the boat dock. What? We gathered the materials for the boat dock, and then we finished building the boat dock. Now, of course, episode 20, we found, or not we found, I think it was episode 19. We found the mansion. Where is it? Wrong way. We found the mansion. Now, that is where we went and completely ransacked the mansion. Now, obviously, we did die. We decided we were getting chased, and I was already low enough as it was. I decided to jump out of the front door, smack the ground. So that was great. We ended up dying there. So we had to gather what we could and run all the way back to our base. Or not our base. We had to run all the way back to the mansion. I can't speak. I'm losing my mind. That was pretty much all we did on 19. We went to the mansion, explored it, we got all the stuff we need, and then once we came back, we decided to go mining a little bit more because obviously we need materials. So that's what we did. We went mining, and then that was practically the end of episode 20. Episode 21, and yes, we're going all the way to 100, so if you don't like sitting around, I'm sorry, but I'm just showing you what we did, all the progress for it. And of course, for 200, we're going to start off from episode 100. I don't want to start off, so reset everything. That'd be crazy. But of course, episode 21 was a little bit crazy. Now, we went through and completely changed some things. Now, on episode 21, we went mining for like the first few minutes, trying to get more materials. Closer to like the middle, I guess, we went in and we went to our creative world, and that is where I showed you the first little area for our crafting facility that we were going to build. We're obviously not going to build that anymore unless we can figure out how to make it smaller. That is where we were going to build something. That was going to be, the main spot. If we bring in wood, it can turn into strip logs, planks, stairs, stuff like that. It can auto do it for us. We don't have to worry. Obviously, we're not going to do that because we have so much and we would have so little space. So we decided to avoid that. We're not going to build that anymore. We're not going to focus on that. But something I did decide to focus on was taking villagers from their houses and bringing it over to my house. And that is what I did. As you can tell, we used to have a little bit more villagers, but I moved them over to our farm because, well, we have little stalls. And yes, each one of these has a villager that we are able to trade for emeralds. So that's what we did. We basically turned this into a little villager ground area, which is why we have the iron golem upstairs, is because, well, he thinks it's a village now, which is not great, but oh well. That's pretty much what we did. We stole villagers from their houses and brought them over here. That was practically all we did on episode 21. There wasn't that much and there wasn't that little. We just didn't have any ideas for anything to do. Now, episode 22 wasn't that much easier. We pretty much just went on a little adventure. I think we went out a little bit this way and maybe a little bit down. I don't know. We went on a little adventure to find some stuff. At that point, we also were just explaining or trying to figure out what we wanted to do. So we kind of just called it like a little info day, trying to figure out, all the little info things that we could make, all the things that we could do, stuff like that. There wasn't really anything on that other than the adventure. So episode 22 practically had not that much. Episode 23, episode 23 was a little bit easier. We only really made an XP farm. We didn't really do that much on it. Now, ow, that hurt my legs. Now, yes, we did copy a machine from somebody. The name is on the credits. It is actually, instead of when we first built it, it was actually sitting right up here. We do have it moved right down here though. So this is built by somebody else. But now we have a set where it can auto-craft into large chunks, which makes it easier for us. So now we don't have to worry too much about that. We are going to skip a little bit ahead through some of videos, pretty much only the important parts right now, just because this video is going to get pretty long and I don't want this video to get too long. So we are going to skip a few things. Once we figured out everything that we were going to do, with the area and everything like that, we continued to work on our main area or our main farming area. So instead of doing, the houses first and the farms like that, for some odd reason, we decided to start with our pathways. I have no idea why, but that is what we decided to do. We started with our pathways on what we were going to place and where we are going to place it for our farming island. And that was pretty much what we did. The first thing for this farming island was the pathway. We didn't have grass on here. We didn't have houses or anything. We just had pathway. Now, of course, once we, finished the pathway and everything like that, we continued getting more ideas. We built some houses in the creative world to bring over, built some custom trees, the houses, the custom trees, stuff like that. We brought all those over, and then once we actually got the schematics, we placed them out. Now, that was a little bit difficult because these trees actually needed, for one tree, it was 12 stacks. Or no, for all these trees, it was 12 stacks. It was probably about 1.5 to 2 stacks per tree. So it was pretty crazy. But every single one of these trees required 12 stacks, except for, the base Minecraft trees. Those used less, obviously. But we needed a good chunk of leaves, which is why we made a little tree farm over here. Now, obviously, this is running spruce. We used to have the set to where it was oak and strictly oak because we needed it. That's what we did. We made this little farm, turned it to a little oak tree farm, and then we had a set to where it can auto just farm whenever we needed to and wouldn't have to worry. Now, we obviously needed a lot of things. We obviously needed wool, which we did not have. We had no way to get wool. So I decided to kidnap some sheep away from their families and make a little wool farm. And yes, it works surprisingly well. So of course, once we made the little wool farm, we needed some iron for, the extra things. But it was pretty simple. Most of the stuff here was made out of wood, so we didn't really need too much about it. The only reason we needed iron was for the 7 million lanterns that we have scattered around this area. So once we got all that, we placed the houses, placed a little layout design of all the farms, everything like that. Now, we have two different size farms. We have the smalls and then we have longs, or short and longs, whatever. Now, the long ones were set for the main farms, so the wheat, carrot, potatoes, stuff like that. The smalls were set for, well, the smaller ones, like cabbage, onion, simple stuff. Nothing needed really. So once we laid everything out, we obviously had to fix some pathing issues, going through the stuff and like that. We had to fix it. We obviously decided to put some little stalls in too, which they do. We have stalls, we have villagers in these stalls, so we can trade whenever we need. Now, once we got everything set, we obviously built a pond. That was pretty well towards the end where we have two catfish and, little floating balloon type things. Perfect. I like it. It actually makes it look better. Now, we obviously needed power to power every single machine that we have in here. Now, most of these are not going just because we don't have, the stuff for it. So, or no, we have the stuff for it. They are going. It's just we're not here constantly to have it running because we don't have chunk loaders. So we had to get power. At first, we were going to use this windmill to try and get enough power as much as we could, but I realized very quickly this is nowhere close to enough power for the amount of pumps and, well, the machines and everything like that. So we decided we were just going to build a giant little building here, put it with power. I'm actually surprised this is kind of going. We haven't been here in so long, I thought it would have stopped. But this is a self-sufficient power farm. Now, obviously, we have water tanks here. We were going to use these for the farms, but we decided not to. We just put water right in next to them. It works. So we practically just have water tanks here for no reason. Obviously, it could be a low design choice that we do now, but oh well. But these are self-sufficient power farms. Now, obviously, we're using lava buckets to make it go easier. We have mechanical arms, to put it everywhere. So once we go down, we obviously have everything in here. So this is where all of our stuff gets power. All the empty buckets will come down, go into a barrel, go through here, and arm will pick it up and drop it onto these little depots. These will be filled with lava, and then they'll instantly be dropped out and go onto here, where then they will be picked up off of this and be put right into that. Pretty simple, and basically it's a whole loop. Now we have a giant lava pool up here where these will fill up the cauldrons, and this will constantly be running to keep filling this tank whenever it needs. Now obviously it's not going to be used that much just because, well, if it uses a bucket, it uses one bucket. This fills it up pretty quick, and this should refill faster than what these take. Simple. So that is our self-sufficient power farm. We don't have to worry about, changing anything to it other than sometimes restarting it when it realizes that, hey, we haven't been here in so long and our power's dead. So there are some points where you have to come back and fix it. But that's pretty much it for our farming island. We don't have that much, I do want to add some things to it. Obviously, I still got to add the villagers, everything like that. We got a lot of things to do. We also have a little bit of fishing dock, so if you ever just want to fish or, have a little aesthetic design choice, we can. We have a little fishing spot. Perfect. Now, the next thing that we started working on, after we stopped working on our farming island, we decided to head back to our base. Now, we got tired of working on this pretty quickly just because there was a lot to it. So once we headed back to base, we had some more ideas that we were going to do. So once we came back to base, we had a whole bunch of ideas. We had a mess up here. We didn't have really anything planned out, but that's where we started getting some ideas. Now, during that, we cleared out the entire edges for our main area. We put stone brick walls here, make it, cracked, a little bit old, have some design. Now this is where our initial door was going to be for our basement. Now when we did our basement, we weren't planning on this. We were going to plan on making it smaller. But as you can tell, our door does not fully fit correctly. Otherwise, we're going to need stairs that go straight down. Kind of can't do that anymore because we have stuff in the way. So we decided, once we do that, we'll put stairs on each side. And yes, somebody chose this name. It's called the Wither. Obviously, we are not next to it right now, so it can't fully texturize and everything. But once we did that, we created stairs. We have a little opening here. And I do like how this opening is. It's nice and tunnel-like. But we do have a very big underground machine area. Now, all of this is going to be filled with machines every now and then, whenever we get to it. Obviously, we're starting on this side. This is our andesite and iron farm. Obviously, it's only strictly doing iron right now, which actually works pretty well. This is our power source, and yes, this one little power source powers all of these machines, every single one of them. Now, obviously, some are off just because we don't need them activated, but it powers a good chunk of the machines. This one does our XP farm, so we have constant XP flowing, and then I guess what? Brother, I can't speak. Again, this one does our iron and andesite. These are our train track makers, so if you ever need train tracks, we just put some stuff in there and it'll go through. If you ever need some iron, industrial iron blocks, we just put it here and boom, there we go. Now if you need large tracks, we just put it here and, well, guess what? Boom, we get large tracks. Now again, this entire underneath is going to be filled with different machines. There's going to be a whole bunch in here that will help us. Once we finish that, we needed a cactus farm because we needed green dye. And apparently I don't have cactus. What? Okay. It broke itself. Nice. We needed a cactus farm because we needed green dye for, well, our train depot over there. Our trains use green dye. We'll actually get to that in a minute. You can actually kind of see it right there. So we need a green dye. Now, our nearest desert, our nearest so-called desert is apparently this. This is what we call a desert, according to Minecraft. No, this is not a desert. It actually had no cactus in the first place. I can't call that a desert. At this point, it's a beach. So we decided to continue going down where we found this, which is actually our desert, which actually had sand, which is what we needed also at some point too. So not only did we need sand, we needed cactus, which is why we came down here. We got cactus. Now we got enough to start our cactus farm, which we now grow and produce a whole bunch of cactus, which is helpful. Obviously, you've seen when this was built, or what we did to build this. We then built this, which is our crafting facility area. This is where we can craft whatever we need. So this isn't made by me. Of course, this is made by Batsy. So Batsy made this completely. And then, well, we just brought it over into this world. So this is where we make all of our materials, all of our pressing, all of our washing, everything like that will get thrown into here. Now, we needed a train station or a train depot for all of our farms. If you don't know, this here has a boat that will go all the way through, go up and around. This will then, once it goes through, we have a train over here. The train will go around, pick up everything that comes off of the boat, and then we'll continue all the way up. Now, it goes through this tunnel, or what we call a ghost tunnel, which will then immediately lead right back up here, where it will come out and come down here. Now, when the trains come in from different areas, so we'll have our farming area where it would just go through. We'll have our mining area where a train will come in. So as you can tell, we have some things here. We'll get over to this area in a minute. We'll get over to the areas where we're going to be building later on also. So our train will come in, pick everything off of this that comes from all of our different areas, and then we'll go over here to our storage facility, and then it will automatically place everything into our storage. Obviously, we have to go through and fix this because, well, it's not organized, and I tried organizing it, but I gave up, so that was nice. We then built our train depot where we have 3 sets of trains. We have our mining, our fishing, and our lumber. I am terrified that he's here because I know once I get close to him, he's going to immediately light up with lightning. That's something I don't want. But yeah, this is our train depot. All the trains come in from the different areas, basically through that side. Of course, they will leave through however means they need. One will go up and around or wherever they go. However it works. Once they come in, they'll immediately drop off all their materials through each individual train car that they will have. All those will go through and get placed onto this belt, which will then go into these item vaults. That will store everything down. So in case this one ever gets full, it can just go here and, well, jump out whenever it needs. Simple stuff. That's pretty much everything for our main area. Now, I already showed you our farming area. Let's head over to our mining area, which is something we are currently working on, trying to get everything for our mining needs. Now, for our mining area, obviously it is in there, but you may see some things right here, obviously in front of your face. But the reason we have these here is because this is where some train tracks will be. Now, the reason we have train tracks here is because when the trains leave our main station, they will come up here, go around, basically go across a massive bridge that will come from here all the way to here. Now, the one on the left, this will be our mining train. This will go straight in, it will go left, and then immediately go down into here. So again, it will go all the way around, cut across, basically have a massive bridge that will go here. This one will go straight across. The other one is for our lumber. As you can tell, that one goes up and over. So our mining train will go through, it would turn all the way around, go through this fun little tunnel that we built recently. Obviously both sides, because, well, we gotta have a side. And of course, there's a block in the way. How nice. Stupid Enderman. But the train will then come in, it would go around, and then this is where everything will be filled with train cars. So all of our farms and machines will be made under here in this area. As you can tell, we have a giant area down here. We're going to have about 8-9 machines that will be making different materials and minerals. Coal, iron, gold, everything like that will be made in here. That will then all get processed out, thrown onto, a belt per each one, and that will go through, go up top, and then those will be placed onto a belt. This belt will then carry all the materials, go into here to the portable interface, and of course, every train has a portable interface with a bunch of vaults on the inside. Those materials will then come in, get put into the item vaults on the train, and then once the train's ready to leave, once it receives a certain amount of blocks, it will then go through this tunnel. And yes, there's a tunnel here. The only way to tell is through that. What? Okay, that's a zombie. I was about to say something's in there. The train will go through this. Now, yes, this tunnel does not have any design or anything to it. We did that for a reason. I'm too lazy. It will then come out. Obviously, we got to fix this because I had to fix that. We go all the way across. We did a tunnel here to where it turns. Obviously, not the best. We're going to ignore it. I will then come back out, go all the way right through the tunnel again. And then, of course, it's going to go under the other train that will go across. Now, this one will guide all the way across the hill or the mountain, and that will go all the way around and practically just build back up till it goes over here. And we got to connect this to the right train, otherwise it's not going to work, which is something that's not helpful. So yeah, the train will go through, go all the way across, and basically line back up, and then that process will repeat. So about our train, or not our train, our mining area, what we're gonna have, obviously we down here, we're gonna have all of our mining stuff. Our machines, everything like that will be down here. What we're gonna do, we're gonna have a pathway that comes out, have a whole bunch of houses down here. Now, these houses are gonna be just like blacksmith houses, stuff like that. Now, we may have some industrial buildings or something like that down here just to try and figure that out. I'm not sure yet. We're still working on it. But this area still has a lot of different, details and things that we got to work on. Moving on to our lumberyard, which will be right up here. And yes, we're deciding to build it up here. This train track or the lumber track will go all the way across, go over the other one that will, no, the other train that will go through. I will go across. That will basically just filter out this way, and then we'll immediately go to our lumberyard. Now, the track will go across this area, obviously staying on a bridge because I want to keep everything on the same level if we can. If we have to, go up or down, we do, but oh well. So we'll keep it on the same level as far as we can. This will go all the way around, and then this will get up to a spot to where it is over here. Now, the train will continue through, and then it will turn around this mountain, basically get to here, which is where our lumber yard will be. And yes, we are going to build it up here. I finally decided. Now, as you can tell, we have a large mountain. We're going to need a pretty big drill that can drill all of this out, which is what we're going to have to make at some point. So hope you're ready for that because it's going to be crazy and also a lot of work. Probably a pain also, but this is where our train will go. We'll have its own little train station here. We'll be able to pick up all the trees that we're getting. Obviously, each tree will go into a vault on the train, and then that train will then leave. Now, obviously, we don't have any ideas for this yet. We're not on it. So once we figure everything out, and once we get over here, we'll start getting ideas, picture everything, and then we'll start building it. Now, this is gonna be a pretty big tree farm, which means we're gonna have a lot of trees. Of course, we're gonna have a lot of trees. Again, we don't know what we're doing here yet because we're not on it, so we can't fully do anything with that right now. The next spot that we're going to be doing, obviously the train will go up and around and, back down how it will, is our fishing area. Now, the fishing area we were going to use, or we are going to use for one fish, but also for the enchantment book, the mending enchantment book, because, you could get that from fishing. Now, we were going to build that right over here. Pretty close, make it pretty simple. We decided not to though, just because this is not actually smooth to the water. It is a massive hill. I did have a plan for, building like a crane that will go up and down every now and then. And all the machines down there will be automatically farming. Everything will come in here. The elevator, I guess, or the crane will go down, bring everything onto the item vault, and then bring it back up and bring it in. Which honestly we could do, but it is pretty close to the house. I'm not caring for that much. So we decided what we're gonna do. We're going to build our farming, or not our farming, our fishing. What? I can't speak my English. No function. We're gonna probably build our fishing island over here, probably in this area. Maybe have its own little island, something like that. I don't know yet. We're still got to figure that out. But then that means the train will have to come through, go over here, and then back around. I do want everything pretty close, so honestly, we may build it up here too. I still gotta figure that out. Once we finish this with the mining, we're gonna go straight to lumber. And then once we finish lumber, we'll go straight to fishing. We gotta figure everything out still. So fishing may be here, it may be down here. I don't know. It may be 700 blocks in the sky for all I know. We still gotta figure that out. So there's a lot of things that we still have to do and work on. Now, do I know how any of those are gonna be built? No, we're not on those right now, so I don't have any clue. I'm still trying to figure out ideas for our mining area. I don't have any. I'm just really most of the stuff that you see on the mining area is just all being wind. I have no clue what I'm doing or what I'm trying to build over there. We're just building and hoping. So again, we still have a lot of things that we got to do. Now, do we know exactly when everything's going to be done. No, not at all. This could be a 600 episode series for all I know until we get finished. If not, this could be 1,000. Now, I don't know how I want to do this series fully. Obviously, I don't know if I want to do seasons or like, season one where we finish everything that we have planned, or if we just keep it going. So I don't know how I want to do this. Now, obviously, if it gets too laggy, we are going to have to end the series because then nothing's going to be able to be recorded or anything like that. So we got to try and be a little bit mindful of the lag. If you do too much, the series will end because obviously I can't record, other than having 2 frames a minute. I'd rather not have that for an episode. So again, if it gets too laggy in this world, then well, the series will, I guess it won't end. We'll just jump to a season 2, which will be a new world. So we do have to, again, be mindful of that. And then if we are able to keep it going, once we finish the fishing island, that's pretty much the final village or city or whatever we're calling it. I don't know. That's pretty much the final one. Now, I don't know if I want to continue going after we finish the fishing island or if, we just stop. I'm not there yet, so I'm not fully sure. Obviously, I do want to do this for a bit, but I also do want to do some different series also. I do have a few new things that I do want to do. I have a few new challenges that I also want to do. Some of those I'm working right now on. They're taking a few days just because, well, that's how the series is, but we got to try and figure out how I can get everything to work. Now, obviously, I record these every single day. This series is every single day. Every single morning gets uploaded at 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night, whatever. These all be recorded on this day. So literally, I'm recording on the 16th. On the 16th. This video will be posted on the 16th at 7. Most of you guys won't even see it till the 17th. So yes, these videos are every day, which is why the editing is not like everybody else's editing. I don't want to copy everybody else's editing. Obviously, with making a channel and everything like that, you got to do things differently. You can't copy other people. You don't see me running around jumping into monitors and stuff like that. I could. I ain't got the money to repair that though, so I'd rather not. So we stick with this. Do the series every day. Continue with what we have. Obviously, we got to keep building everything like that. We're gonna have new series coming out every now and then. I do want to start another series with friends. Have some friends come in. We start a whole series like that. I have a lot of ideas that I want to do. I just got to try and figure out how I can get those to run correctly and not have issues. But I also got to make sure everybody's down to record on certain days or anything like that. Because I don't want to record one episode of the new series and then we wait a whole month for episode 2. I'm not gonna do that. That's pretty much how most of the people in the friend group are. There's a few that would actually be willing to do, we'll do one day and then we'll probably skip a day or two and then we'll go to that next day. There's some in the friend group that will be okay with that. There's others that, well, they'll jump on for a week and then they won't jump on for another 2 or 3 months. You know who you are. And yes, I'm calling you out. It's a joke. Don't worry. Kind of. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things I want to do. There's different series I want to make. There's different videos I want to make. But there's also more editing that I want to do. Now, obviously, this one, I can't do that much editing just because we record from literally morning to night. Normally, these videos are about 4 or 5 hours long that I have to try and cut down into 15, 20, 30-minute long videos. Now, I don't have to, but that is how the algorithm of the YouTubes likes it. So, yes, I may record from obviously morning to night, being 4, 5, 6 hours long. That's just a raw recording. It takes another 4 or 5 hours just to try and edit everything, but also make it to where I'm cutting out the parts that I want to cut out, but also keep the parts I want to keep. There's a lot of different things that are crazy with recording. I'm not, again, like everybody else. You don't see the random memes coming in. You don't see the random, stuff like that. I just keep it how I keep it. If you don't like it, sorry, but I don't care. I just do it because I like doing it. I actually learned that I have fun doing it. Now, when I first started, I didn't have fun editing. I really didn't. I hated it. It was so annoying and so like time consuming. I just wanted to post a video and get it out. Now that I'm actually doing the series, I like the editing part. Now, does that give me time to throw in like the random junk, I guess? No, I'm not going to do that. I'd rather have it my own way, which is like this, keeping it how it is. I don't like having a full blown intro, the whole graphic stuff like that intro. I don't care for that. You may see like on the past videos, I had the little subscribe graphic that would jump in. I like it, but I also don't. Some videos I'll add in, some videos I won't. It just depends. But again, there's a lot of things that I want to try and do with this channel. So at some point later on, you're gonna get different series. Yes, they will be Minecraft. You know, this is a Minecraft channel now because that's all YouTube likes to throw this as. So might as well just keep it as that. But yes, again, there will be different series that comes out. There will be different challenges and stuff like that come out. There's gonna be a whole bunch of different things. Now, I do want to do like a little thing with the friend group. I just nobody's actually wanting to do it. I mean, I'm wanting to do it. One other person's wanting to do it, but we don't have everything else for it because nobody else is willing to jump in for it. So if it's two people, it's not going to be that good, which sucks, but we'll have to try and figure that out. But we are going to end today's video here. One, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. The support on this series has been crazy. Um, yeah, we're going to obviously continue the series. We're going to try and hit 200, 300, 400, however many episodes we can do. I do want to try and keep this going as long as possible. Um, Also, I don't know if later on we get to the point to where we don't post every day and we do, you know, 2 videos a week or whatever, something like that, just so it gives time to edit. I'm not fully sure. I don't know. We could do this one every day and, you know, have the other series where those are once a week or something like that. Obviously, that will skip a day of this series, but we'll still give you a video. There's a lot of things that we gotta do. But again, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Thank you all for the support on, you know, the channel. It is crazy. I really do appreciate it. So with that being said, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I'll see you guys on possibly the next episode. Ooh, I do have a second channel in the description, so if you want to check that out, that's just a whole bunch of different variety stuff. There's more games on there, so if you do want to see more games, you know, hanging out with friends, the friends are crazy. So if you want to see like some really weird, random stuff, some funny moments, I got those. Obviously, there's not that many videos on it just because I don't have that much recording of it because nobody jumps on. Uh, but we also have started recently streaming on Twitch and Kick. So if you do want to check those out, everything will be in the description. Twitch, Kick, second channel, everything like that will all be in the description. So with that being said, again, thank you guys so much for almost 300 subs. Let's try and get there. Hopefully soon. Um, they'll let us keep going a little bit longer. And then yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I'll see you guys later. Bye.